Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Entrepreneurship Series. If you've been here before, if this is your first time, it's an absolute pleasure to host you today. And where we started at the beginning of the year with February, falling in love with your business, a whole host of topics every second Thursday for the whole of the year. Fitting that we finish this series for this year with marketing with no budget, and we'll talk a little bit about the topic, which is important. So welcome here. You're welcome into the chat box. Introduce yourself and your business and where you're from. Let's get a sense of who's dialing in and all the different businesses and different areas that are represented. My name is Harry Welby-Cook. For those of you that don't know me, together with Peter Scholes, brought ActionCOACH to South Africa 15 and a half years ago. And have a wonderful team that you've been introduced to as we've gone through the year, some of them, and Darryn, of course, going to do more today. But our focus is 100% in making sure that we create more profitable, more sustainable businesses. And I love when we always talk about entrepreneurship being this important vehicle for the future and for job creation and all the rest of it. Yet we know that you're out there isolated on your own. And there is no support. And that's why we put together this series, is to say, well, despite the work that we do every single day with all of our clients, how do we give more? How do we make sure that we can add value to you, and through a range of different topics, give you the skills, give you the knowledge, and give you the perspective, which I'm sure you would have found if you have been going through the series, such an important part. It's how we see things, how we look at things, that often influence what we then need to do. And it's been a true privilege to have you take you through that series for this year. So the topic for today, marketing with no budget, and a real privilege to have one of our awesome action coaches joining us from Kloof in KZN. Darryn's been with us for many, many years and runs a team of coaches all designed to make you successful. And the topic, I think, a very important one, because there are only two challenges in business. You might think there are many, you might think there's a whole host of problems you face every single day, but the reality is there's only two challenges. The first one being marketing. You get marketing right, you earn the right to sit in front of people and then do the sale, convert some of them into business. If you do that well, you then have to manage your money, you have to manage your margins, you have to make sure that you pay everything and have some left over. Everything else can be fixed if your marketing and your finance is good. Yet I often find people saying, well, marketing's hard and we don't know how to do it, and it's something we cut when we're under pressure. Well, here's the reality. Marketing is taught at PhD level all around the world. Hundreds of millions of people work in marketing. In fact, Coca-Cola, the world's #1 brand, that still sells the same product they have for more than 100 years, still doesn't sit around the boardroom table and flick the switch and make it rain. Marketing is evolving, marketing remains dynamic, and you have to be focusing on it. And the excuse often is, but we don't have the money. Well, that excuse dies today, because Darryn's going to be taking us through a whole host of things that you can do to make sure that you can market with no budget or very little budget. So Darryn, real privilege to have you on board. Wonderful that you're going to be joining us for today, and we know that you're going to add a lot of value, a lot of experience that you bring to the table. You've coached hundreds of different businesses, and by now impacted thousands through workshops, through seminars, and the work that your team has done, and such a vital topic. So thank you for joining us from KZN. Thank you for the work that you do every day, and really looking forward to Darryn imparting his wisdom and his knowledge with us. You can type questions later on into the chat box. There will be time for Q&A. Type them in as they come up. You don't have to wait right to the end. And Darryn's going to go through his valuable information, and then we will take your questions at the end. So thanks very much, Darryn. Over to you.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Harry, and good all our listeners this morning. Coming to you from a very rainy Durban this morning, but super excited to present this topic to you today. So without further ado, I think we should dive straight in. And as Harry said, please to put any questions in the chat box, and we'll have some time for Q&A at the very end. So let's start off by asking ourselves, what is marketing? Now, if we had to Google this, or we have to ask everyone on today's call, for their definition, I guess we can have a lot of different definitions. But my favorite is buying lifetime customers. So marketing is buying lifetime customers. So let's unpack what that means. So, often when people hear the word marketing, automatically they start seeing dollar signs. And yes, whilst money, it doesn't have to cost money. So today I'll be sharing with you the strategies that don't cost money. And, but the strategies that don't cost money do take effort. So with marketing, you're either going to put in effort, human effort, or you're going to use money. So one of the two. If you want to do either of those, then you should probably find yourself a job, because you're probably not suited to business ownership, because you have to market. When people ask me for a one-word answer to the secret to business success, without a question of a doubt, for me, the answer. So let's explore this definition a bit further. So what you're doing through your marketing, either effort or spend, is you buying customers. And if you look after those customers, time, and the customer becomes quite huge, you've got to ask yourself, how many referrals is this person going to give me during the course of our engagement? Because that then adds to that lifetime value. So your lifetime value becomes quite a big number. So buying lifetime customers, let me give you an example. So in our business, one of the things regularly, which has been very successful in attracting clients, is we host free seminars. And on average, a seminar would cost us about 6,500 Rand. And we usually get a minimum of 2 clients signing up at the end of a seminar. Or if you take the 6,500 Rand and you divide it by the 2 customers, it's 3,250. So that's our acquisition cost. That's how much we spent to buy the customer. Okay. So I really want you to think of your market. Look after that, and it'll be a great investment for you. So there's 2 types of marketing. There's branding and there's lead generation. And whilst both are important, we tend to focus in the small to medium business sector a lot more on lead generation. Because in Coca-Cola or SA breweries, unlimited marketing budget that you can. So I'm not for one second suggesting that branding is not important, but for me, branding comes later. The first part of the marketing is to do marketing that generates leads. And I'll be sharing with you today 11 lead generation strategies. Cost you no money, but they're all aimed at generating leads. So what is the best type of marketing? Let's just quickly get a couple of people punching this into the chat box. And maybe, Harry, you can just give me the first 3 or 4 answers that pop up. But what is the best type of marketing? Quickly. I'm pretty sure already I know what type of answers are going to come up. Do we have any answers there yet, Harry?
Not yet. As they come through, I will share them with you. Yeah, we start to get. So marketing that adds value to the customer, testimonials, word of mouth, referrals, building of trust. Those are some of the first few.
Okay, fantastic. All good marketing strategies, but none of them are what I'm looking for, because I want to suggest to you today that the best type of marketing is consistent marketing. Not knee-jerk reaction marketing, not random marketing, not, oh, flip, next week is payroll, I need to generate some cash marketing. Consistent marketing. Now, why is consistent marketing the best? Consistent marketing leads you to consistent leads. Consistent leads give you consistent sales. Consistent sales give you consistent profits. And consistent profit gives you consistent cash. Now, after having coached, I can tell you the one thing that is common with all business owners, the one thing that keeps them up at night the most is cash flow, lack of cash flow. So lack of cash flow is the worst problem you can have. What is the second worst problem you can have? Inconsistent cash flow. So the feast or famine. So I know for myself personally, and I know for a lot of the clients that we coach, consistency is one of the objectives, because if you can be consistent, it just brings so much calmness to the situation. Now, if you look at the diagram on the screen, look where it starts. It all starts at the top with a consistent marketing. So that is going to be your number one objective as a business owner or as a marketer, is to do consistent marketing to get all of the other things that flow beneath. Now, what is super important? Super important through your marketing, test and measure. Okay, now what does this mean? Well, test and measure means the following. Test, you try different marketing campaigns. Ladies and gents, there's no silver bullet out there that says if you do this, you'll get 20 leads. There's no perfect way of marketing. You've got to constantly be trying different things. And I think, that's one of the things that I love entrepreneurship, is that there's that lovely creativity you can exercise, because you're always trying different things. And, I can speak for myself in our business. We are constantly trying new strategies, and we do it with excitement, because we want to find it. We know it doesn't exist, but we want to find the one that's going to give us the best results. So testing different marketing campaigns and then measuring the results, very important. Now, why is it super important to measure the results? Let me tell you why. Because, and what do you want to measure? Well, most importantly, you want to measure where every single lead comes from. Because if your leads are coming from, you will not know which marketing is working, which could lead to some catastrophic mistakes down the line. Because if you suddenly decide to stop some marketing, you might stop the right marketing. If you just decide to spend more effort on strategies, you might spend on the wrong strategies. So you need to make it your business to find out where every single lead comes from. In our practice currently, we are coaching 103 businesses through our various packages. And I can tell you, if you put that list, every single one of those 100, I'll tell you exactly where they came from. Business to know that. I have to know that, because if I don't know that, I could get my marketing so horribly wrong. So that's super important. Because marketing is maths. Marketing is maths. So what does that mean? That means that if the numbers make sense, it's good marketing. If the numbers don't make sense, it's bad marketing. So let me explain that further. Let's say you spend 5,000 Rand on a marketing campaign and you get 30,000 Rands worth of business from it. Good or bad campaign? I'm sure you'll all say good. But if you spend 5,000 Rand on a marketing campaign and get 1,000 Rand from it, not so good. So if you want to turn your marketing from an investment, the way to do it is through the first example. It's like me coming to you and saying, I'm going to give you 10 bucks. And for every 10 bucks, you're going to give me 20 bucks back. How many tens am I going to give you? I'm going to give you, I can lay my hands on, because that's what marketing as an investment is, when you get back more than what you spent. So you need to make sure you understand the maths of marketing. Even if you're not a numbers person, as a business owner, you have to force yourself to be a numbers person. You need to know those stats, and you need to be able to analyze them to make the right marketing decisions for your business. One of the rules we teach in ActionCOACH, and a very important one at that, is the rule of 10 by 10. So what does this mean? 10 by 10 says that in any growth business, you should have at least 7 to 10 lead generation strategies at any point in time. At least 7 to 10 different ways of generating leads. Now, in our business currently, in ActionCOACH, we are currently using 13 different lead generation strategies. Now, you might ask yourself, why do we want so many? Well, it's very simple. Different people will respond to different strategies. But also, if you put all your eggs in one basket, and this month that basket doesn't work and falls on the floor and all the eggs crack, well, you have to creek without a paddle. By having multiple different lead generation strategies is that you are spreading your risk. You're spreading your risk across different strategies to give you consistent results. So I want everyone to do a quick little count in your head and just type in the chat box, how many different lead generation strategies do you have in place right now? Just type the number and Harry can call out a few. All right, Harry, do we have any numbers there yet?
So far, we got a few coming in. So we got 4, 6, 3, 4, 2, 5.
Great. So if you're one of those that, one of those people that doesn't have too many strategies, don't feel bad because you're not alone. That's the case for most of the businesses when we start the coaching engagement. So what I would encourage you to do is to go and brainstorm some additional strategies, put additional ones in place so that you can get those consistent leads. Let's say you've got 6 strategies in place now, but you have got an abundance of leads. Great. You're one of the lucky ones that's really got it right. But certainly the rule is a good rule, 7 to 10 if you want a growth business. If you're very happy with where you are and you only want to maintain, maybe 3 or 4 will work for you. Okay, so now I'm going to share with you these 11 strategies that aren't going to cost you any money. So the first one is one that I really love because in the beginning, I doubted this strategy. When I first joined ActionCOACH some 8.5 years ago, there was always a focus on old customers. And I was like, why do these guys keep going on about old customers? Old customers are old customers for a reason. They're gone. They're no longer clients. I started to see what they were talking about because we have had so many old clients come back to coaching over the years. Like, I can't tell you how many, plenty. So the key thing is your old clients are still gold for you because while they know you, they like you, they trust you. Of course, they can also be a great source of referrals. So what do you want to do? You want to keep reconnecting with those old customers. And depending on the business you're in and depending on the number of, the size of your database will determine the best method of communication. Certainly in our business, at the very least, we still contact them on their birthday once a year, even once they've left us, just to wish them a happy birthday. We also send regular emails. We're going to talk about email marketing coming up. So it's a great way to keep popping up in their mailbox, at regular intervals, because you never know, time marketing. Remember, every business solves a problem, okay? And you might be speaking to your target audience and they don't have a problem, but suddenly the problem arises. Now your message is very relevant. So timing is such an important thing, and it's something we can't predict. Once again, with consistency, connecting with your old client base. If they have a need, you're the first one they're going to think of. So I really want to encourage you to analyze a strategy and say to yourself, do we stay in touch with our old customers, and could we do a better job? Strategy number 2, and this is a great one, and I always say to people, your biggest asset is your existing client base, without a doubt. So how could you get more business from your existing client base? And the 2 strategies that immediately pop to mind are cross-selling and upselling, and I'll explain the difference in a moment. But the first question to ask yourself is, if you look at your client base, and let's say that you've got a very big client base, you might just decide to take your top 15 or 20 clients. That's okay. If you've got a smaller client base, it might be appropriate to take all of them. So, of all our products and services, how many is each client making use of? And I'll give you a tool for that in a moment. The next question to ask, and this is a very telling one, is do your clients know your full offering? Then you'll hear somebody say, I didn't know you do that as well. And that just means we haven't enough. So does your client base know the full extent of the products and services you offer? And then a client product matrix, which I'm going to show you on the next slide, is a very good tool. But before we move to that, let's talk a little bit about cross-selling and upselling. So what is the difference? So cross-selling is selling a complementary product to what the person is buying or service. And upselling is selling a larger or more premium version of the product or service. So let's take an example. Let's say you go into a coffee shop and you order a cup of coffee, and the waiter says to you, would you love a fresh slice of carrot cake with that? Now that is cross-selling. It's adding on something that naturally could go with coffee. You're unlikely to say, would you like a salad with your coffee? Because that's not very appealing. But a lovely fresh slice of carrot cake could go down really well. Or a cream scone. What is upselling? Upselling, you go and buy a coffee, and the waiter says, will that be a cappuccino? So you're selling a bigger or more premium version of the product. Now, after having coached hundreds of businesses, I can tell you this is a great way to increase your turnover, a great way to increase your average value transaction, and a great way to profitability. And I'll give you a couple of coffee shops, if you use this strategy very successfully. Some years ago, in my early years of being an action coach, I was coaching a motorbike dealership. And they had various departments in their business. They had new bikes, they had used bikes, they had accessory parts, they had a service center. So I said to the owner of the business that I was coaching, I said, we need to find something that we can offer to everybody that comes in the store. So he said, right, let me go think about it. And he came back to his next coaching session and he brought a little tub of slime, a little tube of slime, and he placed it on this. He said, this is called Fugget. Pretty strange name, Fugget. And what this was, or is a tube of slime that goes in your tire so that if you have a puncture, it self-seals so you don't get stuck on the road or the bush or whatever the case may be. I said, great. How many of these have you sold? He said, we've sold 40 tubes in 4 years, which is pretty terrible, for 10 tubes a year. So I said, okay, let's train our counter salespeople. And this was in February, we had this discussion. I said, let's offer this to every single person that comes in the store. We'll script together and we train them on how to do it. There's often a lot of subtlety with these sorts of things. And in March, we sold 113 tubes. In April, we sold over 200 tubes. And because they were moving so well, we increased the price by 20%. Okay, so a great way to ramp up the profitability, just choosing one line. Let's take another example. I was coaching at one stage a lingerie store. And when the lady comes to the counter, so the main lines were bras and obviously other lingerie. And when the lady came to the counter for bra, they had a special soap formulated that would not be so harsh on the bra, because apparently if you wash a bra with normal soap, it does tend to reduce the lifespan. I can't really relate, but apparently that's, I take the lady's word for it. So what we did was we had the soap at the counter, and once again, we trained the cashiers. And when the client would come to the counter, we'd say, oh, if she was buying a bra, we'd ring up the bra and say, oh, ma'am, you're going to need one of these, and just put the tub of soap. And they had it beautifully packaged with a beautiful label, and we were selling it for $69. You'll need one of these. There wasn't even a question of, do you want one? It was a very subtle move, but the person said, oh, okay. Because bear in mind, you're the expert. So ask yourself the question, could I get more business out of my existing clients? Before you go and money, if you choose to do that on marketing for new clients, look at your existing clients. What else could you get out of them? And this is where a product client matrix I find is a very, very good tool. So if you look at the top across, we've got products. Of course, maybe your business is services, that's fine. And then on the left-hand side, we've got 5 clients. You might decide 100, whatever is appropriate in your business. And you then go and put a cross in the blocks where that client is making use of that product or service. And the green blocks mean opportunity. So it means the client is not making use of those products. You can go and approach those clients and see if there's an opportunity. So currently in our practice, we are coaching 6 accounting firms. And I found this to be a great tool for them. So, most of the accounting firms we are working with, they offer all the traditional services. So, bookkeeping, management accounts, tax returns, outsourced payroll. So a great way to go and list all those services across the top, and then go and analyze each client and then hone in on the opportunities. So a really good tool to use. And another industry that I've had huge success applying this with is with financial advisors. So they sell a suite of products, on the risk side, disability, they have dread disease, they have life cover. On the investment side, they have RAs, they have unit trusts, they have offshore investments. Go do exactly the same thing. And wow, we found so many opportunities where clients had ABC, but not DEF or whatever the case may be. So great strategy, ladies and gents, to improve your cross-selling into your existing client base. Okay, strategy number 3, which is, most people's favorites, is referrals. But there's a couple of problems with referrals. For the most part, are left down to hope and prayer. In other words, I hope and pray someone contacts me today. I hope and pray somebody refers me today. Now, the problem with that is it becomes completely passive. There's nothing you can do outside of your control. How do you change that? Well, you put a referral strategy in place. So what is a referral strategy? A referral strategy is a plan to get referrals. Your strategy could be as simple as asking every client for a referral. A lot of people, in my experience, have a lot of head trash around referrals. Okay, they think that by asking for referrals, they appear desperate. They think that by asking referrals, they fear that someone might say no. And for the most part, that is exactly what I do. So you need to get over that. Asking for referrals is not a sign of weakness. Asking for referrals is asking your clients to give you more people like them because you love working with them. There's nothing wrong with wanting to grow your business, and getting referrals from existing clients is definitely the best way to do that. So you need to get that out of your head. Now, in order to get referrals, there's only two things you need to be doing. Two things, ladies and gents. You must be good at what you do, and you must ask. If your business is, and if you know in your heart that you're delivering a substance or that you're letting your clients down, please don't go ask for referrals, because you're asking off a very weak base. Fix those problems first, and then go and ask for referrals. Now, a very important thing, and this is one of my personal values, is to make a big thing of thanking the referral party. Show your gratitude. Me as a person, I love nothing more than passing a referral. I get so excited if I can connect two parties that could do business. And often people say, well, I want to give you commission, and I always turn that down. I don't want your commission. I don't want that at all. What you can rather do is refer me if someone comes across your path that could be a fit for me. But all I want is a thank you. And I find some people don't do that. They just take the referral and they don't thank you. So make a point of thanking the person, and also keep them posted on the outcome. I know that if I give a referral, I love to know how it ended up. So, did they end up doing business with the person? Didn't they? Just give the sure that I do that as well. If I get a referral, I constantly update the referring party just to let them know where we are in the process. Now, if you're not getting referrals in your business, or you're not getting enough referrals, you got to sit down and you got to do something, and you got to ask yourself, why? Is it because you're not doing a good job? Or is it because you're not asking? It's going to be one of those two things, or both of those things. And then, of course, part of your referral strategy could be to give a gift or a reward. A lot of people, and it's not to say that they reward, but it just makes them think a little bit harder about that referral. So in our business, we've got a very robust referral strategy. If a client refers, if a one-to-one coaching client refers another one-to-one coaching client, that client gets a free month. In addition, the person that referrals for the year wins a 20,000 Rand weekend away. And in fact, we'll be giving out our annual prize next week, Wednesday, because we've had a lot of referrals this year from existing clients, and we have somebody that's going to win that prize. So very excited to be handing that out next week on our side. But it could be a thank you card. It could be a bottle of wine afterwards. So thank you for the referral. You decide. But referrals should be a key part of your marketing strategy, and it won't cost you a cent. Of course, if you give something away, I still don't really count that as costing you a cent, and I'll tell you why. Because when you do marketing in the hope that you get a lead that turns into a sale. If you offer a referral reward, you only give it when the deal's done. You only do it when the sale's concluded. It's a sure thing. So I'm very happy to give my existing clients a free month if they refer somebody, because it's a done deal. It's a quid pro quo. It's an exchange of value. So that's today, even if I still see it as no money, because you're first getting the money before you're handing out the reward. Strategy number 4, which is a great one, I think an underutilized one and a misunderstood one sometimes, is strategic alliances. Now, remember, all these things take effort. Okay, remember what I said up front? It's either effort or it's money. Could be both, but you can't have none. So if you don't have a budget for marketing, you have to then lean towards the effort strategies. So what is a strategic alliance? A strategic alliance is having an alliance with another business who has the same target audience as you, but does not compete with you. Okay, so you don't do the same thing. You do different things, so you're not competition, but you're after the same pool of people as your ideal client. So if I use us as an example, as business coaches, a great strategic alliance for us is accountants. Accountants, we work with business owners. Great. I've passed lots of referrals to clients, to accountants. They've passed lots of referrals to me. But strategic alliance is very relational. It's built on relationship. And if you think of the ingredients of a successful relationship, it's honesty, it's trust, it's communication. So those elements need to be there. It's also got to be a win-win or a two-way street. It can't be what can you give me? What can you give me? It's got to be, what can I give you before you give me? So I always say, I like to give first before I expect anything in return. But it's got to be a reciprocal relationship, a symbiotic relationship that works both ways. Now, with strategic alliances, it's not a case of meeting with somebody once and then expecting a whole lot of leads. You've got to stay in regular contact. You've probably got to have a coffee meeting, you know, if not once a month, at least once every 2 months. You've got to stay in telephonic contact. So it's hard work. But if you get a good strategic alliance, another salesperson out there for your business, an unpaid salesperson at that, what a great strategy. So let's look at a couple of examples. So let's say you're a home builder or renovator. Who could be a good strategic alliance for you? Type your answer in the chat box. Let's just see if you guys are getting this. So Harry, you can just call up the first few answers. So if you're a home builder or a renovator, what type of businesses could be a good strategic alliance for you?
So a couple starting to come through, Darren. Estate agents.
Yeah, good one. The fact that an estate agent sells a house to someone, or they're showing a buyer a house and the buyer says, don't quite like the size of this lounge. Yeah, but you could make it open plan. I've got a great builder. Why don't we get him in to give you a quote so you can factor that into your purchase decision? So they could be a great one.
Common also says a realtor, electrician, auditors or attorneys.
Yeah, good. So architects, plumbers, electricians, you know, but remember, it's got to work both ways. So an electrician might be called out to a house and the person says, listen, we're going to be renovating, but we're just going to get a quote on the electrics. Great. Who are you going to be using to do the renovation? Oh, we're still looking for a few builders. Well, I've got a great builder. I do a lot of work with him. Yes, it's great work. Okay, it's vice versa. The builder goes to the client and they need to get an electrician. I've got a great electrician. Same with the plumber. Same with the architect. Okay. Let's take an alarm company. So what could be a good strategic alliance for an alarm company? A burglar guard. Someone calls someone in, I need to get a burglar alarm. And great, I see these windows here. Are you looking for physical barrier security as well? Yes, I am. Great, give these guys a shout. We do a lot of work with them, and vice versa. A physical barrier security sales home, and they say we're also going to be getting alarm. Great, who are you getting? Highly recommend these guys. Insurance broker, take an attorney, accountant, business coach. So I hope by now, and I think by now you do understand the principle of who could be a good strategic alliance for your business. Now, I think the idea is not to have 20 strategic alliances because you're not going to be able to keep up with that. If you get 2 or 3 really good ones, that's manageable in terms of the relationship building, street, and of course, managing the lead inflow. So a great strategy. Number 5, and I often get people frowning at this in a sense, saying, I don't think this works. And I stand here before you today telling you this absolutely works. And I'll show you some of our stats. In the 8.5 practice has been going, this has been for 7 consecutive years in that 8-year period. This has been our second best lead generator every single year. It's email marketing. But there's some golden rules to email marketing, and I'm going to share a few of those with you. Now, first up, when I say email marketing, I'm not talking about using Outlook. Outlook, I'm talking about bulk emails, okay, having a database. Outlook is not going to handle a big volume. Outlook's going to fall over. So you've got to be aggressive with building your database. Now, if you've got a database of 200 to 300 people, you can't expect to get a miracle results out of that. In our business, in the last 8.5, build our database up to 18,000 business owners. Okay, now that's meaningful. You know, the businesses, I must tell you, in 2020, when COVID hit, my business had its best year ever. A lot of other businesses suffered. Why did we have our best year ever? Because we could sit at home in lockdown and we could communicate at that stage. We could communicate with 16,000 people. The people that didn't have databases had a very tough time because they were in lockdown, they couldn't get anywhere. Now, this is where you would use the likes of a MailChimp, or there's many other email platforms. Up to 2,000 subscribers. There's others that are free up to a certain point or free altogether. You'd have to do the research and find the one that works best for you. And my advice would always be, don't email more than once, because when you start spamming people, they start unsubscribing. What you want to do through your mailing is add value. What you want to do is educate. You want to position yourself as an expert. So in our business, we use it primarily for two methods or two objectives. The one is to educate. So we'll write a blog or an article positioning us as an expert, and then we'll also use it, which is also adding value to their lives. So don't always be product pushing, because then people will start to unsubscribe. And then very important to have a call to action with an offer. And I'm going to be explaining that a little bit further in today's presentation. So hold on for that explanation. Testimonial marketing, probably one of the most underutilized forms of marketing. And it's a great one because there's a thing called the principle of social proof. And what does that say? That says that people do what other people do. So if you've got someone giving great testimonials out of the purchase decision for other. Now, you could use testimonial marketing in two ways. You could do written and you can do video. I always like video, but some people, in some cases it may not be appropriate. And I will share a few tips with you in that in a moment. And once you've got these testimonials, where do you use them? Well, you use them on social media. You put them on your website. You put them in your company profiles. You put them in your plenty of opportunity to use them during the sales process or in your marketing. So a couple of tips if you're doing video. So if you look at the picture on the screen, I went to Govan Marnie and I bought that. It's called a vlogging kit, Vlog, which is a video. It cost about $1,200. And you can see under the mark, there's a little blank spot there. That's where you plug in your smartphone. So you simply put your smartphone on. You don't, gone are the days where we need to go and spend 35,000 Rand on a camera. Use your smartphone, plug it in for a microphone because you want to be heard, and you can film your videos. Now, what we found is when you ask a client for a video testimonial, they get nervous, okay? And it's just a bit of fear because they're not used to doing it. And part of the reason they have fear is that they're scared they're going to go blank. So we found a really good way to work around that. So we'll obviously get the person's agreement that they're going to give us a testimonial. We don't tell them in advance because they're not overthinking. We tell them, by the way, can I get a testimonial from you quickly? You've got to strike with the iron's hot. And we take a big flip chart size of paper, A1 paper, and we write down the following. This is what we do in our space. So we write name, how long a customer, impact, result, experience, and why recommend. So now we've got that stuck on the wall with press stick in front of, so they can look at, everyone can remember their name. Everyone can remember how long they've been a customer. Everyone can tell you what the impact, in our case, of what coaching has done for their business, and they can tell you what to recommend. So it takes away the fear of having a blank, and then you've got to film it 10 times, and the person now feels self-conscious and all that. So we found that a really good way to get video testimonial. Of course, written is also very powerful. So first thing to do is ask your clients if they would mind giving you a written testimonial. Let me tell you my experience. Everyone will say yes, very few will send it. Now, why do very few send it? Two reasons. They're busy, but they actually don't know what to write. So we found a great way to work around that is to give them a sample. So we'd say, Harry, would you mind giving us a testimonial? Harry says, no problem. I'll say, great. Here's a sample of one that someone else gave us recently. Now it gives them a bit of a structure on how to do it. And then, of course, also ask, so Harry, when do you think I can get that back? I'll get it to you by Friday. Now, if he just says the words, he's committed. So when he's committed, it's a lot easier to get it. So a couple of practical tips there, ladies and gents, for testimonials, video and written, but very powerful and certainly things you should use in your marketing, and it won't cost you a cent. Rebooks. This is a great one for certain business models. This will only work for certain business models. So what is a rebook? It's having a system to get your customers back if your business model requires that. So for example, dentist, you should go to a dentist every 6 months for a checkup. So the dentist should have a process where, every 5.5 months, the reception or the admin person phones, says, hi, Harry, just wanted to book in your next appointment. Can you believe that's time in for your checkup? You don't even kind of tell. A mechanic, it's time for your car service again. A hairdresser, now I must tell you, I used to own a hairdresser, and we had some great software that we used. And that software, we could tell everyone's record of when they came in. So every Monday, my manager would run a report. It hadn't been in for 6 weeks, because we certainly, as a gent, you should get your hair cut, every 4 weeks, once a month. And for the ladies, for the most part, not necessarily a cut, but a blow wave or a color or whatever the case may be. So we said, let's push it to 6 weeks, because then they've now 2 weeks over. And let me tell you, for every 5 phone calls she made, 3 people booked then and then on the phone. So a great strategy. Another one is a tire shop. Getting people back for their free rotations. Of course, they come in for their free rotation. By the way, it looks like we need to redo your alignment or your balancing. And I see that tire at the back is a little bit worn. You might want to consider replacing it. It's getting them back in your business. But also, what is the message you're giving those clients? You're giving them a message that you got their back. You're giving them the message that you belong. You belong with us. We look after you. We give you reminders. We call you. Too many businesses that have this business model wait for the customer to call them. If you're in an industry where you need to do an annual service, so let's say you fire extinguishers, contact the client and book this to do it. I mean, certainly, I live in an estate with thatched houses. It's compulsory for our insurance. We have to have our fire extinguishers done. We never remember the month. But the company always contacts us and says, hey, it's time for your annual service. Oh, yes, please. Just come do it. It's one less thing we have. So great strategy, ladies and gents, if your business model lends itself to that. Okay, but you must systemize the process. Don't try and do it. Oh, I think I must quickly think who I can phone now. Have a systemized and systematic way to actively contact those customers. Right, networking, great strategy. And a lot of small businesses have been built on the back of networking. I built my business on the back of networking. Okay. But there's also, like with all these strategies, a couple of golden rules. The first thing is, don't go to a networking event to sell. Please, 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 please. Don't go there to sell, because imagine if everybody goes there to sell and nobody goes to buy. There's a whole lot of people selling and nobody buying, right? Not a good idea. So why do you go to networking events? You go there to meet people, to build relationships, in the hope that maybe someday in the future you could do business together. Now, if you go to a regular event, in other words, if you go to an event that happens monthly or quarterly or every 2 weeks, don't be cliquey. Don't go there and sit with the same people every time. Go there to meet new people. Go there to expand your network, not to just the same people serves that purpose, but meet new people. I'm a little bit nervous about networking, and I understand there are people that are a little bit shy, etc. They'll go to a networking event and then they'll take comfort from their cell phone, and they'll be on their cell phone flipping, WhatsApping and Facebooking. Please don't even take your cell phone out, ladies and gents. If you go to a networking event, you go there not to hide on your phone. And then you've got to have a good elevator pitch. Have a good elevator pitch. I'm going to explain that to you in a moment. Okay. But then very important. Now, I've had great success, and I'll share one of my biggest success stories from networking with you in a moment. But I found the key to that is to follow through with any promises made. Okay. So too many people go to networking events. They meet people and say, you know what? I'm going to phone you so we can meet up for coffee. Guess what? They never phone. The coffee meeting never happens. So if you're already breaking the first promise, doesn't trust you. Because remember, people buy from people they like and trust. So let me tell you my most successful networking. So I used to belong to a group called the Darryn Entrepreneurs Club. And it was a monthly event, the Durban Country Club, and they attracted great speakers. So every month there would be a great speaker. There would be an open networking section, and you just go there and meet people. And the event started, let's say, at 6 p.m. So you'd get there a little bit early, and right next to the conference facility was the pub. So you'd go into the pub, you'd have a drink, and then as soon as they were ready, they'd call you through to the main room. So I got there literally 15 minutes before, 5:45, and I walked into the pub, and the pub was packed. There was only one seat available. So I went down and I sat down and I ordered a drink, and the guy next to me, as you do, how's it, how are you, what do you do, exchange business cards, normal thing. And then they called us into the venue. And that was a Thursday night. And the Friday morning, because I always like to do a follow-up after networking. So on the Friday morning, I sent him a message and I just said, his name was Mark, actually. I said, hey, Mark, great to meet you last night. Have a great weekend. His response came back, when are we starting coaching? Just like that. I was like, whoa, okay. So I said, well, great. I didn't know you were interested, but let's have a meeting. Let's chat. Anyway, long story short, I met with him. I signed him up into one-to-one coaching. He then referred me to somebody else that he knew, who was a relationship banker. And that person gave us 2 referrals who both signed into one-to-one coaching. So I've got 3 one-to-one coaching clients from a one-line email. And as we always say, you never know when your next referral is coming from. I guess one of my most unconventional signups was I signed up a client who's still a client today, and I met him in the vaccine queue getting my COVID-19 vaccine. So you really never know where your next client's coming from. Okay, but let's get on to that. Oh, and by the way, so there's a variety of networking events out there. There's BNR, there's a whole lot of others. So let's go back to that home builder or renovator. Imagine if you formed your own group with a plumber, an electrician, an architect, a quantity surveyor, an engineer, a builder, and you met once a month for breakfast and you just shared leads and supported each other. That could be a great strategy that, once again, costs you nothing. So what's an elevator pitch? So imagine that you got into an elevator and you went up one floor. Now that journey would take 20 to 30 seconds. And if you had to get out on floor, would the person that got out with you, that's the test, okay? In theory, what is it? A brief persuasive line or sentence or speech that you use to spark interest about what you or your business does for people. No longer 20 to 30 seconds, but here's the important thing. This is where everyone gets it wrong. Don't tell people what you do. Tell them what you do for them. So let me give you an example. I'll give you the boring version. This is telling them what I do. Someone says, what do you do? I say, I'm a business coach. That's a conversation killer. What else do we talk about? It's over. What is my elevator pitch? When someone says, what do you do? I say, I help business owners make more money. Now, what do you think comes next? Next comes a whole lot of questions. They want to know more. Okay, there's interest. So don't tell them what you do. Tell them what you do for them. I conducted a sales training a couple of months ago. We had a sold-out sales training. And I got everybody, I went around the room and asked everyone to tell me their elevator pitch, and everybody had the boring version. So I remember there was one lady there, and she sells blinds. Lovely lady. She sells blinds. She's actually become a client now. She sells blinds. And I said, what do you do? I sell blinds. So we repurposed it. So now when someone says, what do you do? She says, I help people love where they live. Isn't that awesome? Because what does that do? It leads to more conversation. And that's what you want. That's how you spark interest. Okay, so that's your homework, ladies and gents, to go and formulate your elevator pitch, not to one that's boring, but one that tells what you do for them. Because remember, every business solves a problem. You can repurpose your business such that it solves a problem. The good old example we always use in our sales training is, you don't buy a drill. You might go to Micro Hardware and you might buy a drill. They're selling you a drill. You're not buying a drill. You're buying a hole in the wall. Who the heck wants to own a drill? You only want a drill because you want to make a hole in the wall to hang up your degree, your portrait of your family, a certificate that you're proud of. Okay, so what they're selling, what you sell, what people buy, are most often. We at ActionCOACH, we sell coaching services. People aren't buying coaching services. They're buying a better business. So be very clear about what you're selling and what they're buying, because most often they're two different things. Strategy number 9. Now I can already imagine there's some people that have shiver running down their spine. It's very, very scary. Doesn't work? Great. I would love to know why there are all these call centers opening on Umhlanga Ridge, and some of them have 4,000 seats, and all they do is cold call. Do you know why? Because cold calling works. Okay. What is a beautiful thing? So this is a really good strategy. Not so effective in a B2C space, business to consumer, but on a B2B, it could work for B2C as well, but B2B is what I'm going to focus on. It's great because the control is perfectly in your hands. So if you're a business owner or you're a salesperson and you come to work today and you've got to schedule 3 appointments before the end of the day with prospects, the control's in your hands. You're going to make the calls. So you get to decide who you're calling. You choose your audience. You get to decide how many calls you're making. You get to decide what time you're calling. You get to decide what to say when you call. So it's completely in your hands. Whereas, once again, we're sitting back, we're waiting, and we're hoping that someone might contact us. So the first thing you need to do is get over yourself. Okay, get rid of the head trash. Cold calling is not desperate. It's an effective marketing strategy. Choose your target audience carefully. So you've got to do your research. And you've got to develop a winning script. Why are so many cold calls unsuccessful? Because the people don't have a good script. What they do is they make it all about them. I'm Darryn from ActionCOACH. We do this, and our word vomits all over the person. And at the end of the day, they say, no, thank you. And they put the phone down. Okay. Because once again, I've got to talk about them. I've got to see if I can solve their problem, not tell them what I do. I get people trying to sell to me all day. I'm completely disinterested because they haven't asked one little piece of information about me. They don't know my situation. They don't know what I need. They're trying to give me a solution when they don't know what my problem is. It's like, imagine going to the doctor and you walk in. So Harry walks into the doctor and says, "Oh, Harry, I'm so glad to see you. By the way, I've got this fantastic new antibiotic on the market. Here it is, Harry, you must try it." Okay, so Harry, tell me how I can help you today. Now that's a good example of putting the solution before the problem. So you've got to make it. So the best advice I can give you, because this is a topic in itself and it's a lengthy topic, and I do training on this, but read the best book that I've certainly ever read on cold calling, called Fanatical Prospecting by a gentleman by the name of Jeb Blount. Prospecting, Jeb Blount. The scripts that I now train people on, I took from this book. Great book. Get yourself a copy. Start to educate yourself. Right, number 10, Facebook business page. Now, I want to temper your expectations here, because too many people expect Facebook to generate thousands of leads. Facebook's not going to generate lots of leads. It doesn't do that. In a B2B space, very few leads. In a B2C, maybe a little bit more. Okay. But here's the thing, ladies and gents, Facebook, you can't be there. You can't not be there. You've got to be there. You're inconspicuous or conspicuous by your absence. If you're not there, I wonder if this business is still around. What we've done this year, we've done a couple of live coaching sessions where we invite people, we fill up a room with 20 people, and anyone has, and I coach them through their biggest challenges. And so what I do, I get them up, and for most people, as Harry alluded to in his opening introduction, marketing is the biggest challenge. And I say, great, I pull up my phone and look at their Facebook page. Last time you posted was November 2020. So do people think, are you still around? I need to, really? Is it that long ago? So Facebook business, you've got to be there, and you just got to temper your expectations. What I've found is that it's a great supporting strategy. Now, remember I told you early on that I ask people where they heard about us, and I'm finding more and more in today's world, they're saying, I saw you there, I saw you there, and I saw you there. And one of those saw you there's was Facebook. So they're seeing you in multiple different places, and then they're contacting you. One of those elements. So I say it's a good supporting strategy. It's a great place for showcasing your people, your products, your clients. If you go and look at our Facebook page, ActionCOACH Ignite, go and look at the types of posts we do, and then look at the engagement. The human posts get way more engagement than sorts of things. So when we sign up a new client, we always put them on Facebook. When we celebrate an event, we put it on Facebook. If someone on the team's having a birthday, we put it on Facebook. Go look at those, and go look at the likes and comments that we get on our page, and then look at the other posts, and you'll see very little engagement. So you got to be there, guys. You got to be there. Another great one is LinkedIn. Okay, now LinkedIn, there's two things. There's the business page and there's the personal page. So LinkedIn is the business version of Facebook. Okay, now you've got to have a personal page because you're going to connect with other people personally. They might follow your business. That's a land. You follow a business page, but you connect with an individual. Okay. So, and it's a great way for you to connect with people, to build your database, or your network, should I say, and to have conversations. Now, once again, I've been the victim on almost a daily. Tell me something on LinkedIn, and the message will go like this. Hi there, we do the following. Boom, 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 boom. Let me know if we can set up a call. I'm like, delete. Thank you very much. Let me tell you what does get my attention. I had a lady about 4 months ago message me on LinkedIn, say, hi, Darryn. I see you're a business coach. I've recently written an article on the difference between a business and a life coach. Would you like a copy of that article? Immediately got my attention. I replied, I said, I would love a copy. Next 2 days later, I got the copy of the article, and a further 2 days later, there was a follow-up. Now, that is a much better strategy. You know why? Because she was building relationship, but she was adding value. She was educating me. She was giving me something of value. She wasn't just trying to word vomit onto me what she does. Okay, so very important to find a strategy that works. Now, the other thing that I see often, I see someone will have a profile picture on LinkedIn, but them and their wife, or them and their husband, or them and their kids. That's not the place for LinkedIn. Okay, that's Facebook. LinkedIn, you got to keep professional. It can't be a husband and wife, kissy, kissy. Lovely, do that on Facebook by all means, but that's not the space for LinkedIn. Okay. The other thing, so you can use LinkedIn as a platform to educate. So you can write a blog, you can then post it on LinkedIn, you can lead people to your website. So you've got to you've got to think about all the different things you can do. You can run polls. Polls are a great way to get some engagement. Trade-ins, one of my favorite strategies. Doesn't work for all businesses due to their business model. Doesn't work for a service business, works for a product business. Let me tell you where I discovered this. So I used to run a big security company prior to buying an ActionCOACH franchise. And prior to me actually joining that business, they ran a special once, which was a trade-in special. Trade in your old alarm for a new alarm. Now, the reality is that those old alarms were worth nothing. They've lost their value. But as a prospect, you're sitting there and saying, I'm looking for a new alarm. I've got company A, company B, and company C. Company B is offering to trade in my existing one against the new one. I'm going to go with them because they're going to give me some value. Now, the reality is what we did was we took out those alarms and went to the nearest rubbish bin and threw them away because they were worth nothing. But it got leads, right? Because we were different. We were doing something different. So really, what it is, it's a discount in disguise. Because we were giving people value for it. So we might say, okay, we'll trade in your old alarm and give you $500 for the old one. Really, we're giving a 500 Rand discount, but it's done in a clever way that's just different. And it's actually quite fun. So when I started ActionCOACH, I took that lesson and I said, where else can I apply this? So that motivated early on. We ran a trade-in special, trade in your old kits against new kits. Worked wonders. Then I was coaching a physical barrier security company. Trade in your old burglar guards against new ones. Worked wonders. Then I got really creative with a lingerie store. And I said, trade in your old bra against a new bra. Ladies and gents, we did over 1,000 transactions of people bringing in their old bras. And what we did was we said, bring in your old bra and we'll give you $75 off the new bra. What did we do with the old bras? We donated them to charity. Most amazing spin-off from a corporate social responsibility point of view. So it's a really good strategy. It makes you stand out from the crowd. It's also great as a conversion strategy. So remember, a lead generation strategy is to get a lead. Conversion is to close the deal. So that physical barrier security company, what they preferred was they didn't advertise this trade-in offer, but with a quote, and the person was getting multiple quotes, and they really felt like they need to get over the edge. That's how I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Harry. I'm going to trade in your old burglar guards for these new ones, and that closed the deal. So important though to make it time sensitive. So don't make it an open-ended this month only. And then, okay, so I did lie, ladies and gents. I lied to you. I have to fess up here because I said it's marketing with no budget. For signage, you will need a small little budget. But the beautiful thing about signage is that you only have to pay once. Okay. And if you look at our ActionCOACH we signed up a client this year purely off that sign. Someone in the same business park, and she said, I drive past it every day, and I decided to actually come in and find out what you do. And of course, vehicle signage. I've even had someone crash into the back of me while trying to take down my number. So that wasn't so great. Any way to get a lead, right? So signage is a great one. So go look at your signage in your business. Does it need a refresh? Is your vehicle signage in good condition? Of course, once again, certain businesses will lend themselves more to signage on the vehicle than others, but still a great strategy. All right, so I've given you 13 strategies that will cost you nothing other than the signage. And that's great, but what you need to do is you need to have a marketing plan, okay? And here is the marketing plan template that we use. So we have the weeks in the month and down the list. And then in each block, we put exactly what we're doing in that week. So we have now, we've already completed our marketing plan up to April 2023. So we've got our plan done, it's approved, it's dusted. And I've got two marketing plans. I've got a digital and I've got a non-digital. And I have two different people in my team. The one manages the digital, the one manages the non-digital. Now, the beautiful thing about having the marketing plan is that the thinking is done. All we need to do is execute. All right. So I spoke about having a call to action or an offer. Now, what is this? Let me first tell you that I will not do a single unless I can have a call to action. So a call to action is telling the customer what to do next. It could be as simple as call here, email us, visit us. An offer is a free product or service of value offered to the prospect in order to get in front of them, to get their details, or to get them to take some form of action. Okay, so let's take, I'm going to use our business as business coaches. We run a marketing piece, let's say in a magazine, and the piece ends and people read it and they say, interesting, I turn to the next page. But if I put at the bottom, book a complimentary, if you're interested in coaching, book a complimentary session. What is that doing? It's pushing the person one step further. I can't sell coaching to someone through a magazine article. I have to get in front of them, understand their needs, understand their challenges, and let them know if I can help them. And if it makes sense to do business together, then we do business together. But the point is, I needed to get them in. So I need some kind of an offer. Okay. And an offer, or call to action combined with an offer, gets you leads. Now, if you're still confused, let me show you some examples. So here is a marketing piece we ran in a local magazine. There's our offer, complimentary coaching session to qualifying businesses. Here's another one. There's our offer, Zoom coffee chats. Can you guess when this was? Yes, it was during lockdown. It was during COVID. Okay, that's why we had to change it to Zoom coffee chats. Here's the bottom, an extract of one of our email marketing pieces. I offer to you a complimentary coaching session to discuss the current challenges and opportunities. Please click here to request your session. There's another on the same page. Power hour, offer complimentary power hour. So guess what, ladies and gents? That right there gave us 86 leads in 18 months. Okay. And we signed up, I think, 11 into clients. Signed up 11 into our. So you got to have that call to action. Don't just end off your marketing piece with end. Have the next step. What must the person do? So if you're still a little bit confused, let me give you some examples. Each of these on the screen are examples of clients that we've coached. So a marketing agency, a great offer, a complimentary website audit. So let's say you do websites. Audit. So what does that mean? You analyze someone's website, you give them a report to highlight, the pros and cons, and quite possibly together with that, you give them a quote to fix the areas that need fixing. Another one could be a branding audit. Let's assess your brand. Let's be adding value. So the next step will be, well, what will it cost for me to do this? A software company. What's a great offer? A free trial, 30-day free trial, because people are nervous to change. So you take the risk out. No problem. It's a 30-day free trial. If you don't like it, install it. A kitchen. Buy a kitchen during the month of November or December, and we'll throw in a free under-counter oven. Guys, you need to realize nothing is free. Okay, it's costed in somewhere. But once again, you're going to stand out from the other kitchen companies out there because you're offering a dentist. For all first-time patients to our practice during the month of November and December, you'll get a free clean, whatever it may be. Coffee shop, done this successfully. Coffee shop realized Wednesdays are a bit slow. Great. On a Wednesday morning, come in for a breakfast, we'll give you a free cappuccino. What does it do? It brings more people into your shop. What do you have to do? You have to collect the details so you can remarket to them. If you've got a retail store and you're not collecting people's details, you can never get them back. So you have to do that. Optometrist. I was chatting to an optometrist. I haven't actually coached. That is the one that I haven't coached as an optometrist. And he said to me that of all the people that come for an eye test, 70% need glasses. So what does this offer? A free eye test, right? Because 70% of those are going to convert into business. An attorney, free will. Okay. Why does the attorney want to get a free will? Because then they get to appoint themselves as the executor. Sit down and think of your business and say, what could we offer people to get them to take the next step? All we want to do is get them to take the next step. So some considerations there. Make your offer time sensitive and maybe even scarce, only available to the first. You want them to do it now. Okay, so ladies and gents, that's what I wanted to share with you today. I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope you took some good notes. I hope you got some good ideas. I hope I've at least stimulated some thinking. And I wish you, all the very best for your marketing. So, Harry, I'll pass back to you in case we have any questions.
Great. Thanks very much, Darren. And if you have any questions, type them into the chat box. We're going to try and get to as many of them as possible. The first question that already came in from Carmen early on and was when you were talking about networking, you talk about your business, not what I do, but what I do for you. And she asked, how can she rephrase what they sell as a water purification plant manufacturer? So they manufacture water purification plants. Instead of saying that's what I do, what does it do for you? How could she rephrase that?
I don't know much about the business, Harry, but I would imagine something along the lines of, I make sure people drink clear water. I mean, they're very topical right now, especially if you're in Durban, because we know about all the sewerage problems and the E. coli that's in the water and the beaches are closed and all that sort of thing. So I would imagine for water purification, or help people consume healthy water, or help people live a better lifestyle. So what does the water, what does the fact that the water is purified, what does that do? That's what you want to focus on.
Absolutely. And I think Darren's given everybody some great advice there. Whether it's water purification plant or anything else, what does it do for the customer? Healthy water, healthy lifestyle, longevity, vitality, proper hydration. What is the net effect that I get after having, I don't want to spend the big money and put the water purification plant in, but what I do want is to make sure that I can have healthy drinking water and good hydration for my family. So one needs to think along those lines. Darryn, it's always interesting, Matilda put in here, marketing as a manufacturer is a bit of a challenge. But you've been doing this long enough to know that every single business that's in front of you and says, oh, marketing is a bit of a challenge. So in your experience, why do businesses not focus on marketing? Why do they not put a plan together? Why do they not implement the simple things that you've shared with us so far?
I think, Harry, two reasons. Number one is I think that it's a mindset thing. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. So I've coached, for example, let's say professionals like they believe that they must rock up at the office in their suit and tie and the clients will line up at the front door. Marketing is a foreign concept. You mean I've got to go out and find clients? No ways. They'll just come to me, which is not the case. And I think the second reason is that people have probably burnt their fingers in the past with marketing that doesn't work. They didn't do it right. And now they're so scared and they have that fear about spending more money or effort on marketing, and they have the belief that it doesn't work. Now, remember, ladies and gents, what's a belief? A belief is something that you hold to be true that's not necessarily true from something that happened in your past. So I'll give you the classic example. A sales rep makes 10 cold calls, lands no appointments. Their belief is cold calling doesn't work. Maybe on call number 11, they were going to land the biggest deal of their life, okay? But they carry that belief forward. We all have beliefs, and these beliefs shape us. And the most important thing to do is to make sure you get rid of the negative beliefs and fill your head with a positive one. So I think, Harry, in my experience, that's what happens. Maybe to go a step further, with that question about the manufacturer, your target audience. So if your target audience is wholesalers or resellers, it's actually easy. You got to go find those people and call on them. So your marketing would probably be a lot more human marketing, as opposed to, still have the digital stuff to back it up. But I think manufacturing or marketing for easier, because you've got a very specific target audience that's going to buy your products. You can easily enough find who they are, where they are, and you go call on them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Darryn started by saying, we just believe if we deliver a good service, if we deliver a good product, people will be so happy, and then they'll just refer people, or we'll get more business, or they'll come back. The reality is, I think the world's become so busy that no matter how good your product or service is, I don't wake up tomorrow morning thinking about your business. I wake up tomorrow morning thinking about my to-do list, my challenges, and therefore we don't want to be in that hope and pray kind of environment that Darryn was referring to. Good old colonialism, and that's where it really started in a lot of the professions. So lawyers, accountants a little bit different, but lawyers in particular, engineers, definitely a whole lot of the medical professions. There's legislation around what they can advertise and how they can market, and they are very restricted. How do you deal with that when coaching a client, when the rules say you're not allowed to do certain elements of marketing?
Yeah, good question, Harry. And it's interesting because I was at the chiropractor 2 days ago, and while he was pushing me into all kinds of shapes and positions, he was talking about marketing. He was saying up until a number of years ago, they were very restricted. He said that's opened up a lot now, certainly for them. But I think, once again, you just have to deal with that and say, well, what strategies can we do? So if I was, say, a medical professional that couldn't, they couldn't market in the normal channels due to legislative restrictions on my existing customers, I would focus heavily on referrals. So there's nothing stopping you doing that. So I think you've just got to take the situation at hand and tailor the strategy. There's always something you can do. You can always do more than what you're currently doing. And there's always going to be some strategies that will work for your business. You've just found those and found the right recipe you ape away and you keep going until that recipe no longer works. I think the thing with marketing is you try different things. When you find what works, you keep going with it until it doesn't work anymore. And then you either tweak it or you drop it and you find something else. So that's certainly been my experience.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of those restrictions tend to be around advertising. Marketing is a lot bigger than just advertising. And I always find it interesting that we focus on the one thing that we can't do. So, for example, a lot of professionals, they can have referral strategies, but they can't give an incentive. Okay, but you can still have the referral strategy. So Darren's 100% right. Focus on what you can do and don't get stuck in what you can't do. Just for Bhavin, you asked the question, will this be recorded? Will it be available? Yes, all the Entrepreneurship series, all 10 of them that we've done for 2022 are available on our YouTube channel. Yahya did plant the link there for you, and you can go look at that. What you can also do is go to our website and download for yourself a business plan and marketing plan. So it's the two in hand in hand. What do I want my business to be focused on? Where do I see this going? And how do I build the marketing to support that? So a very practical step-by-step guideline on how to do that. Just looking to see if there's any other questions, some great comments here, amazing insight, brain working over time. I think it does come to allowing some time to go take a step back, think it through, and then implement. And as we rightfully saw in the beginning, 2, 3, 4, 5 strategies is where we start. There's very few businesses that couldn't do all 13 of the one that Darren's shared today. So Darryn, how much time should one be putting aside for marketing and getting the plan right, getting the structure right, all that kind of stuff?
I mean, it's a very good question, Harry, and probably a difficult one to answer, but I will say the following. Often with my clients, when we talk about, especially if they have expertise to share, remember, a lot of businesses, you don't wake up today and decide you want X. Something happens often in your life that prompts that. So I mentioned before timing. So, when I was in the security business, we always said that, a person doesn't wake up today and decide I want security. Something happens. There's a burglary in the street. Someone tried to get into their house. And we always try to position ourselves. So often when I talk to my clients about that positioning, position yourself as an expert, the common reason, I don't have the time. And I say, well, great. What do you do after hours? Because here's the thing. When I started my practice, all my marketing, marketing is considered working on the business. All of that should happen after hours. In the day you're working, after hours, you've got to do it. And I think people don't always appreciate what it takes to build a successful business. To build a successful business takes a lot of hard work. The beautiful thing is, though, if you don't work, and of course that's where ActionCOACH comes. You can work yourself into and get no further because you're doing the same thing. So, that's where we talk about not 30 years experience, 1 year's experience repeated 30 times, or you can do the right thing. So if you do the right things and your business starts to grow, you earn the right to take a step back. But I can tell you that in the beginning, for the first 3-4 years, all the marketing I did was late at night or early morning or weekends. There was no time in the day to do marketing. So how long does it take? It doesn't need to take that long. And that's the thing. I think sometimes we procrastinate because we see the task as such a big mountain, but actually it's not. So if you're an expert at what you do, and we said, I'm pretty sure in 30 minutes, you could churn out a good article. That's how long it takes me. If I sit down and I say, I need to write something, 30 minutes later, I've got an article. Now, if you're smart, you will also leverage your marketing. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, so I will write a blog. So the most recent blog I wrote was, how much does business coaching cost? Because people always ask that question and everyone's kind of cagey. We're not cagey, we put it out there, how much it costs. But anyway, how much does business coaching cost? So I wrote the article, I sent it out to my 18,000 people on my database. I then added it to my website as a blog. I shared that blog to Facebook. I shared that blog to LinkedIn. So I've taken one piece of marketing and I've leveraged it across four platforms. So if you're smart, you do that. Write something, if that's the medium, multiple platforms. If you don't have leverage, it could take you a bit longer. But once again, if you've got a plan and you plan in advance, then it's not such a big deal. So marketing doesn't need to take hours It just takes planning, and it takes a little bit of smarts.
And I think the trick was there, if you have the plan, then it becomes easy. So set aside the time for the plan. As Darryn shared with their marketing plan, they're set till April next year. Every week we know what it is that we need to do. So the thinking, the analysis paralysis, the procrastination is removed because you have the clarity. I think what Darryn alluded to is important for us all to realize in business, is all of this needs to be done. If you cannot fit it into your working day, then you need to fit it into your hours around working day. And then people will always say things like, oh, but work-life balance and stress and burnout. Here's the thing. It takes the bulk of the fuel to get the jet to cruising altitude. Once it's there, the pilot can sit back, relax, and the rest, unless there's an emergency, goes pretty cool. It's no different for a business. You cannot go down the runway and halfway down the runway go, oh, well, here's a distraction. I need a bit of time off. I need to spend time with my kids. You put the effort in to get to cruising altitude. And then it becomes easy. And as Darryn said right up front, you have to put in either money or time or both. You can't have a business and say, well, I haven't got the money or the time to put into my marketing, to put into my finances, to put into my staff. Well, then you won't have a business. So Darryn, that's the bulk of the questions. I think for everybody, just as a reminder, you can rewatch the recording. It'll be uploaded onto the channel in the next day or two. All the other recordings are there. Business is the only thing that funds life. And people say, well, that's a bit, harsh. We wouldn't have drinking water. We would have more electricity if the business was run better. We wouldn't have telecommunications. We wouldn't have transport. We wouldn't have education. We wouldn't have healthcare. We wouldn't have decent relationships if there weren't businesses supporting and running that. And our business is in the business of making you successful. But you need to commit. And that's why our business is called ActionCOACH for a reason. Not maybe one day when load shedding stops, coach, or maybe one day when I find the time, coach, or one day when I've got the money, coach. Your business is your chosen vehicle to take you to the next level. And I know, and Darryn knows, and the whole team at ActionCOACH know, you won't do this on your own. With the complexities of business and the way humans are wired, you need outside input from various sources to go to that next level. So for the last of this year, Darryn, maybe some closing comments for you. I've got a business, I'm listening to this, I've got marketing challenges and many others. What would your advice be to me?
I think, Harry, the key thing is, the bulk of this year is gone. Start thinking about next year. Do your planning now. Come back from leave in January and then want to plan. So certainly, as I mentioned, and there's a couple of elements to the plan. So the first thing is the marketing plan. So we've already done ours. The next thing is that my goal is by the 9th of December, I have to have my budget for next financial year completed. Everything flows from that. It allows me to give my team their targets, and it allows us to strategize on what we have to do. So I would say, get into planning mode now. Please do not get exhausted now and say, I'll plan next year. Plan now, push through, and come back in the new year with a solid plan to fix the things that you didn't do right this year and to take you to the next level with the right results that you're after. So that will be my best advice at this point, Terry.
Great advice, because you want to be able to go and enjoy your holiday. You want to go and enjoy your Christmas or your festive period and come back with the clarity of the plan. And remember, I said right up front, 2 challenges in business: marketing and finance. Do the marketing plan. We've given you the template there, download it, make sure you've got a marketing plan, and the budget dictates the finances. So there you're dealing with the 2 biggest challenges in business, and great advice from Darryn to do that before you want to shut down, run away, work harder than ever because it might be your festive period, that's your busy period, whatever the case may be. We've shared a link there. We would love your feedback. You've given some feedback in the comments, which we really appreciate. Go fill in the feedback form. It will take literally not even a minute, but it gives us some insight into the value you've got. It's been a true privilege to guide you through the tumultuous journey of entrepreneurship this year. To Darryn and the whole host of coaches that we've had, together with the team that makes things happen behind the scenes. Thank you very much to you and for your input. To every single one of you that have listened, some names that have been here multiple times over, we appreciate the time and hope that you've taken value from it. But you must go implement, you must take action. So we believe that our country is the most amazing place to live. We believe that business will support the growth, but that puts the responsibility on every single one of us to go do our bit to run more profitable, more sustainable businesses. Because when that happens, everything changes. Nobody's coming to fix your business. You need to do that. And we hope that we've been able to impart some great value for you. So we won't see you for the rest of the year on this platform. We are working on an exciting new platform for next year where we continue to add value. Have a great rest of the year. Remember, for most of you, your financial year end only ends in February next year. So there's still a lot of work to be done. Thank you very much. Keep well and enjoy. Cheers, everyone.